Hello there, this is an introductory ramble to the second part of our Dungeons & Dragons adventure. What happened last time? Whoa! Actually not that much, but it was fun. Anyway, part 2, begin.
What do you guys want to do? What's the next step for this merry band?
Is there anything we can do to prepare aside from just going up there and being incredibly cautious?
Yeah, do you guys want to buy supplies?
Can we ask Benedict what there actually is in terms of resources?
Can we ask Benedict asking about his salary? We've run up quite the debt and we still...
It's not very high, my salary, sir, and I don't know what other work I could get. I mean, it's not much. It's not going to be... It's not too much of a drain, sir.
Okay, Benedict.
I'm basically paid no better than a janitor, sir.
Hang on, why have we got another janitor then?
Well, because he does all the carpentry, kind of tries to keep the place running as best he can.
Yeah, you said that he does the cooking as well. What do you do?
What business, sir? I manage the books and try and weasel out what funds I can. Mr. Buckthorn did have a few investments, but they're not worth much.
But I'll go and I'll look over his. This is me getting distracted, but I will look over his books. Yeah.
I mean, he does keep quite fundamental books. So Buckthorn had some rudimentary things. It looks like he's the landlord to a few peasants. It's not much income. Like it probably makes like 20 gold a month. Okay. He has a part ownership in a smithy. Which he tends to not take money out of, but they provide things like ammunition, simple blades, simple armors.
I just love that you're going to acquisition mode, being like, hey, nothing, we just want to have a chat with everyone who works here, see what people do.
You guys will come back tomorrow and I will have solved everything. And turns out the most profitable way to run this business is close the building and walk around.
Right. Well, I've got a musket. I've got a dagger. And what might be good to maybe get some maps of the area because I've got cases.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some maps.
Benedict is like, oh, certainly, sir. Maidesbury is a big town. There's many navigators and things like that. There's ferries and things that run down the lake, and yeah, there's certainly people with maps and navigators and guides and things like that. They all tend to be on the Sunsoak Strip. That's kind of it's a large plaza area that overlooks the lake. There's loads of Sunsoak Strip.
Sunsoak Strip.
We have a hard cut
nice
to town.
name.
Hard cut to town.
Sure.
Yeah. So you guys, the Sunsoak Strip is kind of a long, almost like a section of the wall that's kind of got like battlements and things like that. But there are multiple kind of almost like if you've ever been to like Venice Beach in LA, where you've kind of got the row of shops kind of following along the kind of the.
A lot of topless men, buff.
There is a lot of people sunning themselves, not topless, but there's a lot of people kind of like with short sleeves and ladies that have hoiked their dresses up, kind of sitting out because it's a sun trap. Like the sun just catches it most of the day.
Oh, because of the wall.
Oh, the snakes would love it here.
There's no snakes.
You're sort of a
that
snake.
You can see.
I'm just lying out like.
And yeah, it's bustling. You can see travellers from all different types, and there's all different kinds of stores, like haberdasheries and clothings, little kind of almost like tourism places that sell like little, scarves and things like that, hats, sun hats, parasols, that sort of thing.
Not saying that I'm going to do this, but it does sound like theoretically there could be a situation where someone might not be watching their valuables enormously well.
Most certainly in this kind of place. Like there are...
You a naughty man.
There's a few guards that are patrolling the wall, but you have actually noticed that there's not a huge military presence in the city.
I mean, you did earlier say that there were less guards because Maidesbury was at war.
Yeah. So there is definitely fewer guards around.
It's a sunny day, everyone enjoying themselves.
Would you like to try and pilfer a few items?
No.
You can see there's a couple of young ladies that look like they might be merchants' daughters. Their kind of dresses hoiked up in like almost like a shallow paddling pool. Bags left carelessly by the side.
Oh my god, when you say the word carelessly, I have to do it.
So this is going to be a sleight of hand, and if you'd like to remain unseen, a stealth check as well.
Okay, so it's multiple.
It depends on how
checks.
you want to approach it. You can try the Bolzen approach, which is just to kind of like walk up and try and snatch and grab, or you can try the slower, more subtle approach by trying to stealthily approach.
Let's see if I can. So I know if I pass the stealth check or not.
Maybe.
Okay, let's roll a dice and.
So you're going to try and sneak
I'll
up.
try and do some stealth.
Okay.
Meanwhile, you guys can figure out what you want to buy. I feel like I've got all the gear I need, so I'm going.
Okay, so give me a stealth check.
That is a 5 plus 6.
Okay. So you're walking up and there's a few people around. The ladies who are paddling are too busy engaged, splashing each other and throwing water and shrieking and calling out to their friends.
Lovely.
You can see that they've kind of left a few things in there, maybe like a pearlescent compact made from like a very pretty looking shell, some hairbrushes with ivory handles, that sort of thing.
Having that.
So give me a sleight of hand check.
And if you-
Having it.
Sean, I imagine that you're pretty ditzy, but Sean, I think, would be probably noticing this if you have any. If you're like, oh, where's
Sean, if you basically roll under a 14, Sean will notice what you're doing. So you see him kind of like scooting up to this handbag by the side, and he's like looking around. Give me the sleight of hand check on Mr. Boldirk.
That is a 6 plus 4, so 10 total.
The ladies don't notice you picking it up, neither does anybody around, but Sean certainly does. You basically scoop in, you grab this kind of made from like a polished up shell compact and this ivory hairbrush. You looking at it, it's probably worth about 15 gold, the two of them combined.
I'll shoot a glance at Sean and then just keep walking.
Sean and Badger, what kind of things would you like to buy? So Badger, you were after maps, right?
Yes.
So there's two types. The first place you come across is a very pretty kind of stall, little kind of ornaments, like little miniature versions of the city that say Maidesbury on it.
Snow globes.
Yeah, kind of that sort of thing. And they have like little wooden plaques with beautiful little maps of like the lake and like sightseeing spots and like, oh, you can get a lovely portrait done here, and oh, there's a ferry and it's got the ferry routes on it and things like that. They kind of show the area.
I want more kind of walking, hiking maps, more like kind of serious stuff, especially the kind of woodland area, just see if there's more like woodsman's maps.
Perfect. So you kind of have to go off the beaten track a little bit, but you find a store which is basically tailored for nobles who like to go hiking. They've got like walking sticks and sturdy boots and traveller's cloaks, and there's a man wearing tweed inside, and he's got like a little
This is
cap.
me.
And he kind of goes like, good morning, sir.
Good morning. I'm looking for some maps of the woodland area.
We have a number of hiking trails. We have the southern hills, the western hills. There's quite a large forested area to the north, up near the ruins.
We would know where the person was attacked.
Did the snake give you GPS?
The snake has no general awareness, I would assume, but like had a sense of what was happening in the
I'm guessing this place, being a cool map shop, has a big map of the area on the wall. Basically, I'm going to look towards where woodland area near the place that we're
Yeah, so you know that the whole area is like in a big basin, so it's all steeped hills with vineyards and things like that. But as you get up high, you get like the pine forests and things like that. And 2 hours, you get a vague area of like this kind of, it's quite heavily forested and it's quite near the lake. The villa would probably be right on the edge overlooking the lake.
Some of these, please.
Yes, of course, certainly, sir. And he pulls out several beautiful maps. Would you care for a leather case, sir?
I know I have my own.
Very well. Certainly, sir. And he
I'm
pulls out
assuming
these-
Benedict is with us.
Oh yeah, Benedict. Well, Benedict kind of, these two seem that he follows you
Yes.
like a little kind of manservant. Of like,
As he
of course,
would.
my lord. Yes. Oh, and he like takes it, and he, he's just like he'll gladly take things off you. The gentleman behind the store is just like, for these maps, probably, they're 2 silver each for the maps.
That seems reasonable. Yeah.
Yes. So 6 for the hiking areas for the 3 maps.
Sure.
Is this a good time to tell you that I have an excellent memory for maps and geography and can always recall the general layout of terrain? So I could just walk into the shop, basically steal all of their information into my brain and then wander off.
Well, I mean, I guess
Maybe?
maybe I've come out, you'd be like, maps, and you can just look at them and then you can know them.
I'd just be like,
I'm happy to pay for it.
So
I
we've
like
got,
collecting maps.
so you and I being the 2 proactive ones. Meanwhile, Sean watches me steal something and then goes and watches you buy something we don't need.
Well, I was wondering whether in character, with my lack of familiarity with human mores, I would just be like, why are you taking their things? Like, really loudly.
Is that what you're saying out loud?
I think probably we can do that. We should do that as a scene, but like I've circled round and come back to stand next to you, and you can have just asked that.
By the time that you've kind of circled around, the girls have stopped paddling, and like one of them is just like, "Oh, my bracelet!" Like they're kind of like they're panicking over their stolen, their lost things.
I'd just be like, oh, you took those.
Wait, to the point that they can hear?
No, just in a kind of, you
yes.
can help them.
I'll the 2 of us standing in a
You've
shadow
got
out of the
them.
bright sun, and
Yeah.
I'll say, "I did take their things."
But they're now looking for them.
I'll nod and say.
Do you want to, should we help?
Sean, just keep your mouth closed for the time being.
Is this a human thing?
I'll nod and I'll say, right now it's a
dwarf
dwarven
thing.
thing. I'll say, sure,
Sure.
Buckthorn. I'll say, see, Buckthorn spent a lot of money, and it's people like me who are going to put things right again, one way or another.
You're
was
going to give
very
them back
different.
eventually when
I'll-
we've done the questing.
I'll say, that's, well, you'll be making a lot of money now, Sean. You'll have a lot more power than you had before. You look like a strong fella, but money is the real power in this world, and when you have lots, you'll find that out.
I just don't understand because you took that stuff and what really was that for? And
Come
he's
along now,
spending
Sean.
money and I know what
At this
maps
point, I'll
are
arrive back and with this
I'm
box
so-
of maps and say, Sean, you said you had an interest in maps.
Oh yeah, no, I can just look at those and know all of
Lovely.
the things. It's fine.
Benedict,
How do we?
Yes, my lord.
Let Sean have a leaf through these
Well, most
maps.
certainly. He's like, oh, Mr. Lord, Sir, Mr. Shorn,
Yeah, that's fine. Druid Sean.
Mr. Druid Shorn. Very well. And he kind of holds up these maps. I mean, you can look over them.
Checks out.
It's not an area that you've been in before that much. You kind of came from the swamps to the city, but looking at it, yeah, it's very simple, like hiking trails. The forest doesn't look particularly dangerous either. It looks like more of
I
like
have a general sense
pleasant
of where
hike.
everything is in case we do get lost.
And the nice thing as well is, like, if you are trapped out in the woods, you can easily find water and food.
I
You know,
can
you
find
survive.
food and fresh water for myself and up to 5 others each day.
Oh wow! But
Oh,
if
yeah.
the sixth person comes along, then they're just goose.
Well,
They gotta fend for
exactly.
themselves.
And to be fair, given there's only 3 of us, we're going to eat well.
And then I want to just go to a hunting shop if possible.
Yes,
or maybe the
certainly.
blacksmith.
Who let
actually.
this guy have the list of items? And
I want to buy a hunting trap, basically a bear traps. I want to buy a couple
Yeah.
of hunting
Oh,
traps.
I have
Sure.
a hunting trap.
Do you?
Yeah.
Literally everything we're doing is on Pip's sheet, which I think is like.
So, Sean has 1. Would you like to buy more?
Yes, I'm going to buy a couple.
Okay,
more.
yeah, so he basically, you find...
Clang, clang.
It would probably be in a hunting store. Like, you find like a noble's hunting store, crossbows, bolts, quivers, a few traps and things like that. Bait you find as well. The man behind the store is a stocky looking, kind of gruff looking human. Not a nobleman, more like a woodsman kind of thing. And he kind of like gives you a nod. He's like, good bear hunting at the minute. Are you after a few bears?
Possibly. I've
Yeah.
heard there's something possibly a bit odder out there at the moment.
Oh, I've heard some tell about ghost wolves. What have you heard about the
I've
ghost
heard
wolves?
about ghost wolves. Yeah, my
Scaring
friend
off all
was
the
talking
locals.
to a snake.
Terrible business. It's scaring off all the trade.
I think we'd like, sort of tentacle things, like that, beaks.
Whoa, no beaks round here, sir. No beaks. No, maybe something out of the lake, maybe, but some sort of monster or something like that. But nothing. I haven't heard no business like that.
Hippogrumps.
Have a swim.
Hippogrumph.
No, yeah.
Never heard of a hippogrumph before.
Oh, we have a lot of problem with them back where I'm from.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, nasty looking business. Nasty. What kind of things are you looking for, sir, for
Couple of-
hunting hippogrumps?
Couple of hunting traps.
Can provide those, yeah?
They're great for hunting fictional animals. that
Yeah,
don't
and
exist.
also you never know exactly what sort of thing you're hunting, so maybe some manacles.
Certainly, sir. Certainly.
Might be useful.
Yes, we've got some of those. Normally used for keeping game, deers and that sort of thing from running off. He fetches them out. The hunting traps he provides, he's like, now these are about, they're quite sturdy looking, quite meaty, harmful looking things. About 5 gold each. The manacles perhaps a couple of gold.
Sure.
How many are you looking for, sir?
Are these reusable?
The hunting traps? Most certainly, sir. The trigger there, once it's placed in the middle, there's a small latch underneath that will help you release the system. Creatures can get to it.
Fantastic.
Do we need a head bag for the head?
I'm sure we can carry it. And then we'll make a name for ourselves coming home as this big, gross, melting thing is bouncing off our thighs for the whole way home.
On the horse, on the hook.
Do we have a horse?
You do not have a horse, unfortunately.
I can be a horse.
Oh yeah, well there you go. You
Well,
can.
I will. Yeah, as I say, going to have to speculate to accumulate, and I will buy
Yes.
a couple of hunting traps.
So it's
and
going
some
to be
manacles.
10 gold, 12 gold total.
12
for
gold,
everything
that's
else.
fine.
You've got plenty of money to spend.
I've almost emptied everything I made at lunch.
And then, I guess I'll basically just sort of as leave him being like, if you have anything hunting, well, I'll just basically inform him that the hunting guild is open for services again. So if anything
Really, sir? Old Bucky's Guild.
So
Oh,
if you have
excellent.
anything, people popping in feel like they've bitten off more than they can chew.
Most certainly. Well, I mean, if you were interested in the ghost war, I have heard that there is a bounty being placed. 75 gold, if you can deal with the problem. A young priest of Palor went missing trying to deal with it, but so they've the temple's offered a 75 gold reward for dealing with the problem.
Yeah, what do they want as proof? Heads?
The ghosts keep appearing. I think that once they stop, that would be proof enough. If you came back and claimed it and the ghosting stopped.
Oh, actual ghosts. I thought they were just sort of pale.
No, it's been said that their howl sends the chills through any man or woman that descends, leaving them fleeing in terror, soiling themselves rotten.
Where did this happen? The
Out on
killing.
the western road, sir, out in the western hills.
Is that the direction we're going?
That is not. That is out on the other side. You're going
We're
south.
going
Another thing appears on the mini map.
But certainly if you had the time and you wanted to look into it, I can imagine that would be a worthwhile endeavour. None of us can deal with ghosts. How can anyone? No weapon can touch them.
Yes.
No trap
once
will
you're-
help you against a ghost.
I can't disagree with anything you're saying.
he just nods at you with like a wild eye.
Thank you for your time, sir.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you. And he like scoops up his gold, bites it.
As we leave, with a ghost in that conversation, a metaphor. I'm not.
Maybe they had a ghost problem and now it's a ghost wolf problem. Or a wolf problem that became a ghost wolf problem.
Oh, that would be great for the hunting guild if whatever we kill becomes a ghost
Yeah.
problem of the thing that we killed.
Providing another job.
Yes.
So it's a reinforcement loop of our business strategy.
I think we should head to the tentacle furry beaky thing because it's worth
Is this
more
a
than
convention?
4 times as much. It's worth 4 times as much money. Let's we'd be crazy to go
Economics.
messing around with ghost wolves.
Ghosts don't pay the bills. That's what I always say.
Ghosts don't pick the bills.
Right, let's go.
So you want to head off in the direction. So Donald did give you direction.
I think he suggested, the path we would go.
One question I have is, do you want to inform the Bankers Guild that you are leaving town?
Oh, sugar, because they did want to be known.
They did. So it's up to you. You could choose to head off on your own.
As we're leaving the town on the south road, I'll go, oh, hells, we need to tell the bankers we're leaving. I'll turn to Benedict and say, Benedict, you need to tell the bankers we're leaving.
Me? At the Bankers Guild, sir?
Well, we don't want you to come along with us. You'll get...
Oh, no, you're going now? No, I can't go and fight monsters, sir. No, I'll go to the Bankers Guild, most certainly.
Exactly.
Who's going to carry my traps?
He points at Boulder.
I'll point back at Badger and say, Badger, if you're going to buy heavy nonsense, then you might have to be the one to carry it for us.
Benedict's finger slowly points at Sean instead.
Listen, I paid for these. As 3 co-owners, I feel I've put a substantial capital into the business, and I feel like it affords me a certain level of respect and respect.
I literally have a hunting trap. We didn't need the extra ones.
Badger, we're co-owners, and I don't think you discussed this with us before you spent the guild's money, did you?
Well, I can expense them back. I mean, I spent my money on it.
No, there's no expenses. That's just our money still. We own the business.
No,
And
this
if you
is my
spent
money.
your money, they're your things.
Well,
The trap has fallen.
I'll turn to Benedict and
Let's
say,
go.
this would be a good time for you to leave it in from
All right, sure. And he scoots off. He doesn't want to carry these heavy-looking traps. He scoots off his little pudgy belly.
Can someone carry one of
bouncing
them?
up and down.
I'll carry one of them for you.
Oh,
You, hand over a trap.
It means we've all got a bear trap now.
It's so heavy.
listen,
Can you
trying
imagine
to get a creature to run into one trap.
You know, the
Come
worst
on
thing
now.
is we're going to show up at the manor being like, hello, weird. It's soaked to the skin.
You guys make your way outside the southern gates. You actually pass over a bridge. Maidesbury has 3 bridges. The lake has been channeled into a moat around the city as an extra defence. And the bridges, as you're leaving, you're not charged anything, but you notice that anybody kind of coming in, most folks tend to get charged a bridge toll, which is only a couple of coppers, but everybody that's coming in has to pay. You guys make your way out. And you travel following the directions into these kind of beautiful vineyard hills, forested. As you kind of head out and as you get closer to the edge of the lake, the buildings become quite lavish, very rich looking villas overlooking this kind of very picturesque lake with mountains in the background. Prime real estate. And as you approach, you begin to see a couple of things. Now, Boulder Dirk, Quinns, what's your passive wisdom on your character?
I enjoy the extra syllable you put in my name there.
Boulder Dirk, is it?
Let's just make it Boulder Dirk.
Is it Boulder?
It was.
Boulder Dirk, I
Boulder
think is
Dirk.
better.
What is your passive wisdom? Down
It
at
is
the bottom of
10.
And what is yours?
14.
14. Badger and Sean, as you guys are going along, you actually begin to notice a couple of things. As you're kind of going up the trail leading to the villa, to Donald's villa, you begin to notice a couple of strange things. The first thing is you can see what appears to be rotting seaweed far from the lake. You just find patches of it now and then. Your kind of keen eyes, keen sense of smell picking up on it as it goes. You can also see beast prints. You can definitely see paws, big furry clawed paws leading out of the woods and following the path leading up to the villa itself. As you begin to get closer, you also notice 2 half-eaten corpses of dogs, probably hunting dogs or guard dogs. Big, huge chunks of flesh torn out.
All this horror right next to all these really nice posh buildings.
This is on a
This
private
is like San
road leading
Francisco.
up.
I was just imagining, because he said that you two noticed them, but I don't. So I think there's corpses next to me, and I'm like, Replacing the chairs, that's going to be 7.
It's going to cost.
Your kind of mind is elsewhere.
Yeah, it's like almost stepping a dog.
And yeah, the dog's like, the bite was, it must have been a huge beak to just kind of tear the chunks out, and you can see claw marks on them and everything else.
Who has some good investigation skills?
Oh, that's
'Cause
actually
that
my
feels
bit.
like a
I've got
thing
plus
we
7
should-
investigation.
There you go.
CSI Maidbury.
So I'm
up.
going to prod you
So you
and just
don't
be like,
notice
right.
things.
Yeah, but
As soon as you do,
we were discussing this earlier. It's an insane quirk of the D&D stat line. But here we
Yeah.
go. I noticed them and then I become Sherlock
you're like
Holmes.
Sherlock the dwarf. Yeah.
That's a 13 plus 7.
Plus 7, wow, so 20. Looking down at these creatures, you kind of analyse it, and there are traces of the seaweed inside the body, so perhaps it was draped over the mouth or something like that. There's definitely a very powerful beak-like shape with inside teeth as well that have kind of chewed it up and torn at the dogs. They definitely fought in a fight. The guard dogs probably attacked whatever it was. Underneath the dogs, in the dog's jaws, there is almost like a thick Icarus black blood that you can see on its canines. But also, the other thing you notice as you get closer to these bodies, alongside the paw prints of the large creature, 2 pairs of human boot prints have attempted to be brushed away, but you kind of find traces of them in the kind of soft earth of this dirt road leading up to the villa. There were men walking alongside it, and it looks like they were on either side of the creature.
The back half of that, I was listening, but I was trying to think of a CSI Miami line that I could say as I stood up and say, it looks like this sea creature has been seen.
Scene spelt C-A-N.
I know, like, anyway.
Sean!
It has been shown. Anyway, I'll relay all this onto you. So, like, the Black Icarus stuff, like,
Is
do I
that
recognise that? Is that a grell? Is that a...
You suspect that is probably from some sort of monstrosity rather than a natural animal. You don't imagine it's a bear. This is much more likely to be something like an owlbear, which has got thick clotted blood that can occasionally appear black. But there's something
there's sea
odd
water
about
the
it.
fifth
Yeah,
musketeer.
you actually kind of smelling it. There's almost like a smell of brine. There's something strange about this creature. Like it is an owlbear, you think? but
Owlbear,
not
the
quite
judge of
like
that.
Octopus.
a swamp octopus.
But it has the most obvious tracks. I thought this would be difficult. Like, we were prepping and then... but yeah, in character.
Well, after you told me about the fact that they're humans, I'm saying, oh, this is why I brought these things and shake around manacles. You never know when the thing you hunt turns out not to be a thing, but a chap.
I'll
I've hunted many chaps.
that was... What an excellent sentence that was.
I like the idea that occasionally Badger might be like, "You peasant, I want something to hunt. Run!" And it's just like,
I'll say...
Only for play.
yeah, for play.
I
of
won't
course.
use live rounds.
I'll say, now, Badger, listen here, and I'll pull you closer in case there's any servants listening, and say, we only agreed on 400 for the beast. Now, if this beast happens to be accompanied by men, you killed any men before?
Oh, well, I mean,
Sean, have you killed men?
amongst friends.
No, I'm a friendly beastman.
Okay, well, today
Beast.
you might have to start, and if we do, then 400 isn't
So
the...
don't worry. Honestly, I know it seems difficult having to do things like this, but you only have to kill them if they try and run. And, you give them a fair shakedown.
What
I know
I'm
these
saying,
things can be
Badger,
traumatizing, but we'll get through this.
The 400 isn't... Have either of you ever run a business before?
No.
Well, no, okay, Sean, that's...
Not much business in the swamp.
Sean. I maybe like the idea that you have another name, but Sean is just the name that you heard. Like, it's a human name. So
It's like the Men in Black thing. Who are you?
I'm just convinced that all of the druids were my parents as well. It's like my many fathers and mothers and just
Your
other
egg-
visitors.
very complicated.
It's
Your egg mother.
my foster parents, all of them.
Can I have the light thing? I've just
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I just realised that might be fun.
Swamp lights.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're not in a swamp yet.
No, but I just
Still in
realised the background
Italy.
was
By
quite-
all means.
The background was
We're
quite
in the
white.
world's lamest swamp, which happens
one
to be a
thing-
lake.
One thing, Quinns, you asked is, in case there was any servants around, as you kind of look around to see if you actually notice you're not seeing anybody around. Like, this dirt road is leading up to the villa, which you can see maybe like half an hour's walk up ahead. You can see this kind of building rising up at the top of this cliff face, looking over on the lake.
But the guard
itself.
dogs were killed, like...
They were probably killed last night, judging by the wounds and the kind of the CSI elements that you've done.
We could just do some tracking.
I mean, honestly, this is where you own your
Rudimentary
paycheck, I think.
tracking.
But the tracks sound so massive that, like...
And if even you can see them,
I know, right? So yeah, you should definitely
fine.
The
lead
tracks
the
are definitely
way.
clear once they get onto this dirt path. Perhaps when they're out in the woods, it'd be much harder to track. But yeah, you can
Okay.
easily follow them without making any checks.
So just to clarify, we've got two things. We've got tracks that are leading away from the villa, or
No, it looks like it's all coming up to the villa.
Oh, okay,
And
well-
then there's no tracks going elsewhere. Like it's just
Okay.
literally coming out of the woods,
and
leading
also
up this dirt track to a
it's
villa,
very quiet.
and it's very quiet.
Okay, I'm glad we got here early because there could be people dying now. We should go, Sean.
Shall if we go, I think maybe we should try and do so stealthily. I mean,
Hey.
obviously we can go, but I think
somebody
it might be worth doing a
say
stealth kind of
stealth?
check.
Somebody say
Did somebody say small man?
Stealth dwarf activated.
Badger, hold my trap. There you
Oh,
go.
very
That
good.
was going to be our
What's
one.
the, what's the total on there?
25.
25. So are you going up ahead and scouting while these two remain back?
Well, I don't know how the stealth rules work. If I can somehow use my stealth to sort of be like, get down and walk.
Yeah, so I'd say that you can do that. That means these guys are going to make stealth checks, but
Nope.
you have advantage on that, which
Oh,
means
good,
you can roll
okay.
twice and take the highest one. So you're kind of like prepping them and giving them advice.
I'm happy to kind of keep my distance with a gun.
So you're going to stay
I would
back.
like Sean to be with me.
Okay. So
Sure.
Sean, if you give it a stealth check,
Whoa.
I know, right?
That's
that
a
is
20.
a natural 20
There you
with
go.
the advantage. So it's thanks to Balderdo's kind of advice of like, duck down or
It's
you
actually
should hide
Boulder
over-
Dolder Dirk.
I'm going to keep getting it wrong. I'm sorry. It's just, can I just call it Baldrick now? Can I just
No,
say
it's as long as it ends in Dirk, which I think is the comedy syllable.
Boldirk or Boulderdirk?
Either of those is fine.
Boulderdirk, under his excellent tutelage, like you're kind of helping to stay in the shadows and move your way up. The two of you sneak up with Badger kind of like coming up the rear, kind of just like, yes, off they go, with eyeing out the gun. You approach this villa, a beautiful stone building with kind of like almost like wood, like roofing and log kind of like upper floor, upper story. And as you get closer, you can hear the sounds of some people or persons inside. And it sounds like clattering and smashing and laughing. And you can see there's a couple of windows. Outside, there was probably once a very fine-looking dining area. The tables have been like ripped in half. There's blood. You can actually see the body of a guard. Looked like he once wore like a studded leather armor with a long sword. And he's just like on the ground, arm torn off, half-eaten face. And it's just been left on the side. And you can hear this kind of noise and clattering.
And so are these guys in the grounds now? And I'm
These guys are kind of heading up the dirt path. They're on the outskirts, like looking in, and you're still kind of making your way up.
So I'm kind of like walking into the grounds, right, through the gate.
Yep. Yeah, there's like a dated front, like a little sort of like pillared wall, and you kind of step through that, and you see this beautiful man.
Okay, well I'm going to take my two traps and set them.
In front of the main entrance.
Yeah.
There's no reason why we can't SWAT team this and go from different areas. I'm going to creep up to a window and look in.
Peek in?
I'm going to not be going too slowly.
You can move about half your normal speed and maintain stealth. Anything more, you
It's
have to get.
I mean, it's D&D,
advantages.
right? If I pass the stealth check, then I can just walk around
Just
like,
like
completely invisible.
Yeah, completely invisible. You move up to the window and peeking in, kind of like peering over the side, Home Alone villain style, kind of like leaning.
But
in the
standing.
window. Yeah,
It's probably on tiptoes.
It's just like that. You can see inside there are 5 people. You can see there are hooded masks of fish people, like these kind of made from seaweed and kind of masks made of maybe like clay that look like fishmen's heads. But they've got them tossed to the side. They're wearing robes covered in seaweed and gloves, and they're just looting the place. They're like, oh yeah, those candlesticks look valuable. Stuff them in, stuff them in. Ah, this is it. Salandra's going to be so happy. Well, with this we can probably hire some mercenaries. We can do more. We can go after more villas. Yeah. And they're just kind of all like,
Classic burglar chat.
Very classic burglar chat. One of them does appear to be kind of looking around a bit more seriously. She kind of barks an order. She's just like, all right, enough joking around. We need to get this and we need to get back to the cave. Like, come on, let's get on with this.
It's too much to ask for. They're going to come out the main entrance, isn't it? Oh, wait, they're all in one room. You could blast them.
There is like there's like a
Oh yeah.
veranda door, like a kind of like double door that leads out onto like the open balcony, like the open sort of patio area.
Oh, mate, what would be so good? Okay, I'll whisper to Sean.
Yeah, you can whisper. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not going to hear you. You guys made such
gonna-
incredible stealth checks.
I'm gonna say, Sean, if we can hit them with your, I don't mean to. Can you do the
breath thing.
Yes.
Yeah,
sorry, is
yeah.
that a? Can you?
No,
you
no,
can?
that one's fine.
Okay,
Yeah,
good,
yeah.
great. Yeah, you can't fly.
No.
Okay, But if we could scare them with the breath, then they could run out the entrance where I saw that fella Badger, the rich was laying the traps.
Yeah.
That could be great.
That could be great. How am I going to get into position?
I mean, like, this is kind of ridiculous, but couldn't you just...
Through the window?
Yeah, I mean, or like break a window and that.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. You
I
can
mean, I
definitely
could
like smash a
acid
window.
through the window, right?
Yeah. I mean, that also doesn't mean they can't attack us back that way.
No, that's true.
This is like World War II and how they clear out bunkers with
So the way that you're...
Wait, hang on.
Go on.
Well, the acid will just destroy everything of value in the room, won't it?
There would likely be some damage to any valuables that it catches. So the way that the breath weapon works is it's a 5 foot wide line that goes 30 feet long. So it's kind of like a column of like...
It's good for a corridor.
Okay,
Yes.
rather than the room. Okay, my
So
bad.
you imagine that actually kind of looking at it, Sean, looking at this room, it's maybe about like sort of 30 feet wide, but about 40 feet long. There's like beautiful kind of chaise longue chairs, beautiful kind of like armoires and mantelpieces and things like that. You reckon you could probably catch like 2 or 3 of them, depending on where they're positioned, but the others would probably be difficult to catch with the line of acid.
I'm going to be making my way around the kind of outside of the grounds, round to the other side of the house, basically.
So as you're moving around, what you notice is that leading away from the main entrance and going out a small side gate that seems to lead down, it's almost like a little path that leads out onto an overlook looking out over on the lake. You find more of the tracks, the big paw prints, and then the booted tracks lead off and seem to head maybe down onto a beach near the lake.
So my traps are not going to be much use.
If I'm better at animals, I'm assuming I would have followed that sort of tracks after we'd established.
So where did the tracks go?
So the tracks actually lead up to the villa where you guys are now, where there's this scene of carnage, these broken tables, this kind of half-eaten corpse. Then they kind of pitter around for a little bit, and then they head off towards where Carrington is now fine. So you do see these tracks as well, but Carrington, just where you guys have been focused on the guys in the room, he's kind of been exploring around.
I think if I go down to just check in,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
like
just sneak
this
around.
doesn't look like we can get an easy,
Okay.
quick win.
So we're
I'm
not
just
going
gonna have a
to
peek.
we're not going to attack them through the house.
Well, we've got the traps down,
Okay.
so that if they come
But
out,
I've just spotted that there's another route which they came from, so the traps, they're probably not going to run that way.
okay.
we can
Well, do
still
you want
always
to pick
move
up
them.
one of
You
them?
Yeah, so I'm gonna, as soon as I see that, I'm gonna go blast. And I'm gonna make my way back round there, get the traps again, and then make my way back round again with the hope of like kind of like hiding them in the sand. But I mean,
Yeah.
Can we lay
For sure.
can we lay an ambush there then?
So you want to lay it on this path leading down to the beach.
Wherever the traps are going to go off, I would love for us to be hidden so I can pull off my cool assassinate ability and Sean can breathe on them.
is it literally called Cool Assassinate?
Yes, it's cool assassinate. You do a dope assassination move that is an automatic critical hit.
You get like the wrist blade and you like jump out the hay bale and drag it back in.
I mean, maybe this is the point after we've set all 3 of our traps in the sand path leading down to the beach. Maybe this is the point for me to talk about my ability of inspiring leader.
Oh, please.
I have an inspiring leader ability, which means I spend 10 minutes inspiring my companions.
Oh God, it's a lecture.
Basically, yeah, like a 10-minute inspirational talk. We were talking about this earlier. It's like an inspirational talk. Anything beyond 2 minutes, and you're getting into caveats.
Yeah.
And you're getting into like, well, of course, we might
some
all
of you will
die.
say
Getting
we
into
might
health and safety.
And some of us might die, but most of us might.
There's
Look, what we're
only
doing is
3 of
important.
us.
But also, what I
How
love
many is
When my
most?
father called, he said to me, Badger.
But that's with Chris Walken there as well. Like, Badger, listen, why would you risk your life?
While you're giving your inspiring speech, I'm gonna tiptoe down to the lake and check what this thing might be, maybe?
Okay. Can we, sorry, without wanting to gloss over this, can we set up, can we make sure we have some kind of ambush?
You guys
in
are
place?
setting up an ambush. So for those of you who want to hide, you're going to be making stealth checks. So it sounds like Sean is going to scoot off while you're trying to set up the traps and things like that.
BRB.
Sean, what you notice, you kind of track down. It's maybe you realise that it's going to be. Is it just the names like saying Sean what you notice, and it's just like
No, I was just laughing at the fact that we're on an open. I don't know. It's just funny to me. It's just great. It's good. It's
I'm
good.
glad as long as you're
I'm
enjoying
having
it.
fun.
You head down the path, and it leads onto this beach, and the path seems to lead out into the sea. But you think there might be a cove, but it's probably quite a little distance away. It's probably like a 20, 30-minute walk, and that would
Okay.
take you quite far away from the other 2.
Yeah, I probably won't go there.
That would have been great, though. Guys, we're going to kill them all. Sean!
I'm gonna.
They're coming.
I mean, I could just go.
You could, yeah. It's absolutely you. It's your choice, your character.
I like the idea.
Please don't leave. There's 5 of them.
I love the fact with Inspiring Leader as well, I can do up to 6 friendly creatures, but including myself, which means I'm basically inspiring myself by I can do it alone if I want to.
I'm Badger Carrington. Welcome to my TED Talk. You may have heard of me from...
But yeah, I mean, I was laughing about this mechanically, like spending 10 minutes inspiring other people and yourself. It was like awful, but in the context of what my character is shaped up to be, it makes so much sense.
But while we're setting these traps, I'm going to be like, the thing is, Boulder Kirk,
when you find yourself in situations such as this,
but remarkably, by the end of it, you will actually.
I imagine you sort of like you're talking kind of off camera, and the camera turns, and then there's like one bit of scrub, and you can see me sat in it with a crossbow. Maybe the only good hiding.
Maybe the
place.
inspiration from you is just your blood boiling slowly from listening.
I'll take
to
what I can get.
So, what is the actual mechanical benefit? I think you give them temporary hit points.
Yeah, everyone gets 5 temporary hit points.
So temporary hit points, basically, it kind of sits on top of your hit points like a shield, and you can't heal it back, but you take damage from that first. So if you take 5 points, you take that before you take it into your normal hit points.
Lovely stuff. Thank you.
So you guys are making an ambush. Carrington is giving this 10-minute inspiring talk. Is it like, yeah, you're basically like setting these traps and saying, the thing is, and back in my day, and when I was a boy, and all this kind of stuff.
yeah, and I still feel wrongly that this chap here was worried about having to kill things, not realising that actually he's just complaining that we're not being paid enough to do it.
So, just life, death, friendship, love. It's a 10-minute talk. You can cover a lot of ground there.
That's a lot of nonsense.
I imagine it ending with a sort of, and of course, my first lover. Oh, they're coming.
So there's a couple of ambush spots for you guys. There's some shrublands which are kind of like nestled on the cliffside that you can probably hide in. There is also, you could actually head up higher up onto the hills and have like a down position, like hiding amongst the trees, the pines, where you'd have a good field of view, but you'd probably need somebody like Carrington with a long range or a crossbow or something like that. And then you could also be at the very base of the cliff behind some of the larger rocks and ready to spring out if they get past.
I am going to give you 2 my hunting trap and turn into an octopus and go to the thing that you said sounded interesting.
Okay, so you want to head towards the cove.
Is that all right? I mean, I'm going.
I mean, yeah, fine.
Okay.
You're a weird guy.
Because I can do dark vision and stealthy things, and I can attack things with my tentacles.
I think this is awesome. I would just love you to be here when we have the big fight, whereby...
Yeah, split.
So are you saying this to her, like, as Sean is, like, getting in the water up to his knees, and is, like...
like, about to go.
1 second, Badger. Just hold that thought. Sean!
Oh, but his talk was so boring.
Sean! We all know.
Fine.
Then I start giving you a second inspirational talk. We have to stick together. You see, when I was a young dwarf...
No, I'll stay if only you will stop talking.
So, what I'd like you guys to do for your ambush is everybody make new stealth checks. You guys can have advantage because you spent the time to hide yourselves and set up this trap and everything else. So
Thank
you guys
you,
can all
Mark.
have, you guys made the prep work for it.
That gives me a total of 19.
19.
So is this a stealth check?
This is a stealth check. And Pip, don't forget you get the 5 temp hit points from Carrington as well.
Okay,
So
cool.
I've only got 12.
Okay.
That's fine.
You got a nice bonus to stealth then, though.
3, yeah.
That's good.
A bit supple.
Oh, very
18.
good. 16, 18.
Plus
that's
1.
okay.
Do you want to
Plus
become an
1,
octopus for the duration of the fight?
I have to hold my breath for 30 seconds and I can only breathe underwater, so this fight has a time limit if I do change into an octopus.
You just sit there going, oh, I feel a bit unwell.
I could change into other things. I could become a mastiff. But
Is that
I
better?
mean,
Dog.
The thing is, you're
it means that I can't use any of my spells,
The thing is, you're already an
your
armored
acid
lizard.
breath.
I was going to say, yeah, you are a dragon with a weapon. I mean, it's a kind of an unfortunate...
I feel like it's like a
Confidence and
reverse druid,
ability.
though, because
Yeah.
it means like you're already like a cool battle monster normally, but that means when you change into things, you change into like a sneaky frog.
Yeah. That's it. It's very much like a stealth thing or like a cat, and you can blend in.
I mean,
with,
if
like,
they're
the
afraid of
surroundings.
frogs, sure. But otherwise, I think I might just stay as a dragon.
Well, as part
Honestly,
of my
Sean, you look crazy scary.
As part of my 10-minute battle lecture, I had also like devised us some tactics. And what
God.
I was going to
Was
do
this
is I was
in
going
the
to
appendix?
I was going to walk back around the other side of the house, and the idea is that I would then begin
You're just
shooting
circling.
at in the hope of getting them to run out of the house down the hill because I want to.
So you want to try and get behind them?
Oh, stick together, buddy.
He's a
off.
loose cannon. Look at him.
Wandering away. So we're trying to get Sean and you to stay here.
I'm shooting a loud
We
gun.
work terribly
And
together.
then they're going to run down the hill to the traps, and then we'll run down chasing them with the gun, and you guys can.
Unless you
yeah.
fire the gun and they all run it.
We literally just covered this in my 10-minute battle lecture. We've had this conversation
here's the thing.
when I talked at you for 10 minutes.
What happens if you fire the gun and then they all run towards you and we're on the beach?
Why don't you
problem.
set fire to that side of the house?
Don't burn the house of the guy who's paying us.
No.
It's like the first rule of role playing:
this.
never give the players guns, which we've already broken.
Listen, I mean, this is all a conversation that happened in the 10 minutes. But they're cave people. They're cave fish people. They won't like guns.
Why
Not
don't
them
we?
criminals.
We could always
Badger.
just make some vulnerable noises, peasant noises.
Why don't we just let them go back to the cave? They were walking this way anyway. That's the whole reason.
All right, we'll wait.
Gods.
But I will go and hide up on the hill in the trees.
Fine.
Okay.
What a shame that we won't be able to hear. I am actually quite inspired. As a bit. When you leave, I'm like, he's quite good at talking.
I learned a thing or two
I'd
today.
never tell him that, but that thing about his battle with cancer was.
About an hour. You
Oh,
lie in
okay.
ambush. Wait.
I've been thinking about it for a long
But eventually,
At
I
least
mean.
I didn't become an octopus. I've been dead.
So I've got Kennington is up on the hills, looking down amongst the trees. Are you in the shrubland near the trail, kind of watching? It's about like a 50-foot stretch of trail that kind of winds down the cliff face down towards the beach.
Yes, I think so. Quite near the traps, if I can be, or nearer. The option is nearer the traps, ideally with Sean.
And then Sean maybe down like within the scrubland or behind the rocks, like on the beach itself, ready to spring up if they run down.
I love your map.
I think so. Pip is drawing a map.
Oh, I love it. No, I'm all on board.
This map, I'm just going to put this on the camera
Please,
though.
please.
So here we have the house and then the path.
And then some,
Fish people, I like the gill
some
faces.
traps,
Oh, that's
maybe. And then I'm here in the reeds.
I'm also there,
waiting.
so you need to draw me.
I thought you were somewhere else. I
I'm
thought
on
you
a
were
hill.
behind some rocks.
I believe I'm
Oh,
in some
hell.
scrub.
Yeah, he's in the scrub near.
I was actually trying to stay close to you, Sean, because I trust you more than.
We're near. We're near.
You're within like 30, 40 feet of each
We've
other. so-
flanked.
So about an hour transpires, and you start to see shapes coming down along the path. It's just after midday, so the sun is quite high. It's very hot. The temperature and the climate here, though, especially those of you who are kind of like in the shrubland, you're starting to feel like maybe a little bit of burn on the shoulders and things like that.
Sorry, I'm changing the lights to get them warm.
I'm a dragon. I'm fine.
I was going to say,
Yeah,
you're probably
the dragon's probably fine, but old
black dragon as well, in terms of like
I
the
absorb
most
a lot of heat.
reflective.
yeah.
Oh no, it's the opposite, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's at the same time you're used to hot environments in the swamp and things like that. Old Kennington, lovely shade from the pine trees. You know, maybe like a little stool that you've brought with you that you
Gin
can
and
sat
tonic.
on. Just like enjoying, like this is hunting. Like you've got your gun ready,
Got some miniatures.
waiting. But you start to see these five shapes making their way down. Loose formation. Two of them are carrying pretty hefty-looking sacks, which jangle and clank and are being dragged along behind them. And they're talking amongst themselves. As they get about halfway down, maybe about 20 feet away from the traps, one of them looks up in Kennington's direction. Is like, is there somebody up there? And you guys can hear this, like, somebody up there. I don't know.
Are they like in a good line for breathing?
At this point, yes, but they're starting to kind of like shuffle around and look quite suspicious.
Sean!
Shall I just?
I mean, I'll notice I'll
acid breath them?
very gently kind of try and
Unless
lie down.
there was
Or,
prone.
because the other
You're, like,
thing I
trying
was
to get-
going
and
to
they're
do
like-
was
they
maybe
kind of
just
look
throw a
up.
pebble in the water so that they look this way, away from Kennington.
Well, what would
right?
you like to do? So you guys are each going to have an action. So before we get into combat, I'll briefly explain this works. In combat, each of you has a movement, which you can use to move up to your speed. And you have an action. An action can be things like attacking with a weapon. It can be something cool that you want to do, like if you want to perform some sort of crazy stunt, you can use your action to do that. Casting a spell. You can also do something called disengaging, which is you spend basically your turn moving away from an enemy that's next to you, but you don't provoke something called opportunity attacks, which is they get a free swipe at you if you try and run past them and things like that. Just so you know, so each of you, this is going to basically be a surprise round as they're starting to notice Kennington. Each of you has an action, a move and an action that you can do. You basically get a free combat round to do
I'm
whatever
gonna
you would
huff.
like.
I will huff on them.
I'd just like to double check one thing.
Yes.
Of the 5 people who were coming down and who we saw through the window, I don't recognise any of them as like the noble or the noble's party that came and gave us this job, right?
No, you don't. They seem to be looking at them. You kind of get the impression they're all quite young, like maybe
thought they were
like
fish
early
people.
20s.
No, they have
got
fish
masks.
people masks that they're carrying.
So these are people who are poking monsters around and dressing as monsters as some kind of preamble to burglaring. But so they've gone back and we found them burgling the place that the noble said a monster attacked yesterday.
Yes.
Okay.
And they are making their way down, and you can see they're quite young. They don't look necessarily noble. They don't have the same face, but they still look like they're probably, they're not like peasants, like dirty, filthy commoners.
Before we
like
slaughtered them, when you say young, you don't mean like 10.
No, we're talking like early 20s, that kind of age. So
They made their choice.
Sean, you step out of the reed, you kind of loom up, and as you approach, they all kind of turn slow-mo style, eyes wide in horror, and then you're gonna... Okay, so with your breath weapon, do you want to give us a rundown of how it works?
I can use my action to exhale destructive energy. You can breathe a 5-foot by 30-foot line of acid. Any creatures in the area must make a dexterity saving throw, DC 12.
Fantastic.
On a failed save, any creatures take 2d6 acid damage and half as much damage on a successful save.
Auto damage.
Yes, so saving throws are things like dodging out of the way of an explosion, or resisting a poison, or if somebody's trying to wrestle you to the ground, resisting them. And DCs is basically difficulty class, and it's the target number they have to be. So I'm going to make dexterity saving throws for all 5 of these guys, and it's DC 12, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3.
Hearing that
I'm
D20
rolling
rolling
very
around.
well. My big heavy. Right, that is a fail. So we've got 2 fail. One of which is a figure who's wearing. They seem to be more of a leader. They seem to be directing the others. But the other 3 kind of dive out of the way as they see this projectile vomit of green acid fly out.
But do you need to roll damage for that, or shall
Yes. So Sean will be rolling.
So I get the
2d6.
2d6.
I? You lucky dog, or you lucky dragon.
And half of them, and some of them are going to take
That's
half.
bad.
So 2 of them take
7.
5 points of acid damage, and the others, you round down in D&D, so the others are going to take 2. So this kind of acid goes blah. You hear it sizzle away at their clothing. The masks begin to pop, and like the clay shatters in their hands. They're holding that. They're like, oh god, and they're like boils all over them. They're like, oh, it's a great monster, and they're kind of like screaming out in pain.
Drive the car into them.
What's that?
Robocop. Anyway.
What would the 2 of you like to take as your surprise action?
I would like to do my assassinate action with a crossbow.
Is there one in particular you'd like to target?
Yes, let's target the leader.
Okay, so you're going to go for
take her out
with the crossbow.
It says I have advantage on attack rolls against any creature that hasn't taken a turn in
That's
combat
what
yet.
exactly what I was about
And
to
in
say.
addition, any hit, if I do hit, is a critical hit.
Yep, because they are surprised.
Wow.
Correct. Also, I don't know if this tallies with sneak attack. Once per turn, you deal.
It does indeed.
But
And
I need to be wielding a finesse weapon.
or you have to have an ally within 5 feet. Sadly, you don't have an ally within 5 feet or a finesse weapon, so you won't get sneak attack this time. But in the future, if you manage to surprise somebody and you either have an ally within 5 feet of them, or you're using something like a short sword or a dagger or a rapier, you would basically like heart strike, cut open an artery or something like that.
You can help with that.
But it is
Get
still a
in there.
critical hit
Tip the acid
if you
in.
hit.
Okay, so it's just 2 dice.
2 dice with advantage, and then you're going to add your crossbow attack bonus, which is in your middle column here.
+4. Here we go. For all the dungeons and marbles, that is 16 total.
16 total. That is more than enough. You can see that they're not wearing armor. They've kind of got like loose clothing and these robes. The crossbow bolt flies through. Now, critical hits, the way it works is you roll the damage dice twice and add them together. So whatever the damage for your crossbow is, so that is a D8, I believe.
Find a D8, Matthew.
So it's
on, babe.
this one. Yeah,
Oh,
there you
nice
go.
one.
So yeah, you're going to basically roll 2 D8s, and then you add your dexterity modifier, which is 2.
Okay. Is Mark's descriptions making anyone else feel bad about murdering humans?
No,
I'm known for that.
10 plus
10
2.
plus 2, 12. The figure was already coated in acid, and they're like looking at their hands as like the skin is beginning to melt away. They turn, your eyes kind of meet for a moment, and the
No.
crossbow bolt just goes straight through their heart, and they just fall over.
I put the crossbow down.
The loud twonk.
look sadly
The other
at your
four-
hands.
Just let out a scream. They're like, "An ambush! We're being ambushed!" And they
Why
kind
do
of
they
like
have
scram
high-pitched
around.
voices? Who have we...
Kennington, what would you like to do?
Listen,
Don't shoot anyone.
they're clearly not people of means. Also, I'm a long way away. I can't see these people.
You're just seeing shapes and you're like,
I mean, they're thieves and they're probably poor.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Definitely scruffy.
what would you like to do, Kennington?
I'm a man of
Badger.
means, all right? This is
Lord Kennington.
means business. I'm awful. I'm evil. I hope
I'm
my
evil,
character dies.
but this is why I can't play evil characters in D&D, because I do something evil and I'm like,
Well, you don't know if it's evil yet. They might have. I mean, they did like aid in the killing of a guard
And
some
dogs.
dogs. I mean,
okay, as long as
only
they were
real
definitely
villains.
involved in that and not like opportunistic.
Right,
Well,
so
If they've killed someone, then whatever.
I am going to
they're
spend one of
toast.
my grit points
Oh, excellent.
to do a dead eye shot.
Egg your pudding.
This is a feature of the gunslinger. Where they get like special
Basically,
points.
I've got special points. That means every time I kill someone or get a critical hit, I get to roll my. I get to advantage thing it. So that's.
But don't you get advantage? Oh, but yeah.
He doesn't because they spotted him.
Yeah.
So he didn't. But he can use his Deadeye shot to gain advantage, and every time he gets a crit or kills a creature, he gets a grit point back. So it's
that's
like a
quite cool.
replenishing resource.
So basically, it's maybe. So is it D20 for this? Is it
It is a
very
D20 for this, and then
Overwatch,
you
that
add
mechanic.
your musket rifle attack bonus.
7? Sure.
7?
He's a Deadeye shot.
It's literally what he does. 20.
20.
20, more than enough to shoot. The bullet flies out. You hear the of the musket rifle as the bullet, the little ball bearing, flies down.
quite cool.
What damage is your musket rifle?
It's 1d12 plus 3.
So that is a D12
I know,
dice.
it's obscene. It's d12.
Who are you shooting?
11, 14.
No, who are you shooting? Not
Any of them.
The rest of the four kind of look very similar.
Probably one at the back.
Okay, so one at
Make
the back.
him run. As I said,
Towards the
I'm a
traps, though.
hunter. Exactly.
The one at the back you can see was kind of like looking down at his like burning acidic skin. You just basically see and a blood spray as he just collapses to the ground from this incredibly aimed headshot that just. The one thing with your rifle you need to be aware of is you would now have to reload it, which
Spend an
requires an
action,
action.
reloading,
So
yeah.
it's like a slow but very powerful shot. Basically.
Okay.
And if you ever roll your misfire number, it breaks basically, and you have to try and fix it.
Yeah.
So that is your surprise round. The group are just panicked, looking around. They're like, "Weapons! Get your weapons out!" And they're like trying to draw these like rusted-looking blades and clubs and things like that.
You were trying. Oh, it's you who's got the intimidation.
Well, it is now going to be. I need you to roll. Everybody needs to roll a d20 and add your initiative bonus, and this is going to determine the order of combat. And I do this as well.
+2 for me. That's 20. Hot dig,
nothing
dog.
more.
Diggity dog. Here's a dice.
So 20 for Baldric,
17 for me.
17 for Sean, and Badger.
I got plus 3. 18.
Hey,
18.
we can kill them or.
We are murderers.
They, in their panic, they seem to like just adrenaline is rushing through them. Two of them like look around and they can now see you as you've kind of fired out this bolt. One's just like, "I'll get the dwarf, you get the scary dragon man," and the other two like look at the dragon with the acid drooling out of its mouth, and they kind of shakily try and prepare blades. They're like.
I like Pip the Dragon Man.
One with a club rushes towards the shrub, tries to basically like barrel into you and wail on you with this kind of wooden
He can
chair.
try.
He flails like the acid just burning around with him. He tries and clubs you, but you just throw him to the side. And yeah, he kind
Classic
of.
Star Trek style.
The two advance on the Dragon Man, one with like a short rusted blade and one with another club. The first one. What is your armor class there, Sean?
15.
15. So both of them, the blade kind of sinks in beneath your what are you wearing? Like, what kind of, have you got like hide?
Traveller's clothes.
So you kind of like pierces.
Hide armour?
So it kind of pierces through the armor. The club kind of knocks you on the arm.
His hide armor.
I've got my turtle shell shield, though.
Yes, that's all factored into your armor class, so it helps make
I
you
keep in
defensive.
my head cutting between like the character going "Roar," and then Pip going "Rah!" So every time you go "Rah," it is actually a dragon roaring.
So the first blade slips in, and it's 5 points of damage as the blade kind of nicks
Oh, that's
in.
fine because that's your
That's your
speech.
temporary 5
That is
because
the
you listen to
temporary
my
5.
amazing speech.
yeah.
You get stabbed, but
And
you
then
don't
the
know.
club hits you on the arm for 2 more points, so it's 7 total.
So I've got.
You've lost
hang on.
2 actual hit points.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because you had the 5 from Carrington's speech, and then you took another 2, so you're at 22 there, I think.
Okay.
So these kind of like rush on you, and they're just in a panic. They're just like lashing out at whatever they can find. They do seem incredibly scared. Baldric.
I'm not, but yeah. I mean,
So how
that's
many
an
are
easy mistake
still
to make.
alive? Is it 3 of them are still alive? Or is it?
3 of them are still alive, and they are currently like in the middle. So you've got
so 2 of them are
Sean is just before the traps. I forgot about the traps actually. As they rush towards Sean, I'm gonna make some saving throws for them. One of them, ka-chunk, and this bear trap wraps around their leg. Like Ace Ventura like points down at his leg. He still gets the blow on.
And as I said when I was doing my 10-minute speech, I would say, and of course when one of them steps in the trap, that's the one we ask questions.
Yes.
He's like struggling with his leg. Blood is pouring down it. The other one is like now looking around nervously.
That was one of the ones that was attacking Sean.
Yes,
Yeah.
one of the 2. So yeah, it's not attack those.
Would I have to disengage with the person who's attacking me in order to run over and sneak attack the person?
You would do, yes. Or you could just risk him getting a free swipe at you as well. Depends on how brave you're feeling.
I don't want to.
Because if you disengage, you wouldn't then be able to make an attack. Because disengaging is like you carefully edging away from him and sort of like.
Oh no,
staring
I'll
at him.
just rely on him being shot.
So what weapon are you pulling out?
I'm going to put up axe. Let's do classic dwarf.
Okay, so you just pull the axe.
Yeah, fire the crossbow, then he runs towards me, then I emerge from the bush with an axe. It's not this guy's day. That was going to be a 19, Mark.
That
I don't
dice
know.
tray
I
has
feel like
ruined
you
you.
should take that into account.
So you kind of go to swing the axe, but you're in these thick reeds. You kind of got like the water's kind of lapping up, and there's rocks are very slippery. You kind of go, but the timing of the blow is just off, and he manages to like duck out of the way. You can also have something called a bonus action on your turn, and this is particularly relevant for you because you're a rogue. You can actually spend your bonus action to do things like move, disengage, or hide as well. You can attempt to like stealthily get away. It's a cunning action.
After missing, I'm going to just try and run around him really quickly.
Okay.
Hide.
So you basically like are you going to try and hide? So you like duck into the reeds and he tries to lose track of you. Yeah.
Let's see what happens. It's a 19 plus 6.
He has no idea where you've gone. You've kind of like launched out of these like bushes, and then just like kind of descends.
Oh god. How do you disappear on a beach? That's how good I am.
Well, there's like shrublands and
Oh,
reeds
okay,
and
right.
things
So
like
I'll
that.
just run
It's not-
behind-
It's a lake beach, so there's like shingle
Got it.
and sort of like
run behind him and then
foliage.
just squat into a bush. And then he's like, where do we go?
Badger Kennington. You're enjoying it. It's lovely up here.
Yeah,
like,
it's actually like a lovely breeze with the heat. It's just it's a good day.
yeah,
It's a nice
perfect.
day.
So you
So
start-
that's your entire turn.
Well, I think so. Yeah.
You could spend you have a thing called Action Surge, which
Yeah.
lets you, but it's up to you whether you want to use it. Or you're happy just reading.
I mean,
you don't want to exert yourself.
I mean, basically, this isn't really the hunt. I mean, there's a big thing that's beating dogs. I don't think it's
love
any
it.
of these gents.
I love it.
They look like they're doing all right.
They're holding their own. It's great. Sean,
Hello.
what would you like to do?
So I could
Sean,
send a
Dragon
puff
Ball.
of poison spray towards
Into his
them.
face. Ah.
Yeah, like just in a kind of.
I like the idea that it's you like coughing on them like.
Yeah,
I'm
you did all
just
your breath
looking
and
up-
there's just some sort of like...
I realised that I could have looked up these cantrips
sorry.
earlier. You see,
That's all right.
Thorn
Oh, cantrips
whip.
are all naff.
I've realised that I've got.
They're like your default. If your weapon attacks aren't good, then you can use.
Oh
cantrips.
yeah. Are any of them approx 10 feet away from a trap with me on the other side of it?
So you've currently got 2 of them in front of you. One's got his leg in the trap.
Right.
You're kind of like 5 feet behind the traps.
Okay.
And the other one is kind of straddling the traps and is swinging at you, basically. They're right next to you.
I was just interested because the thorn whip allows me to pull something towards me. So I,
would
was
say if
wondering.
you wanted to try and angle yourself so you thorn whip him and it causes him to step into the trap, you can absolutely try
I
that.
want to try that.
Okay.
That's
so how
the
does,
thing.
How does thorn whip work?
You create a long vine-like whip covered in thorns that lashes out at your command towards a creature in range. Make a melee spell attack against the target. If the attack hits, the creature takes 1d6 piercing damage, and if the creature is large or smaller, which I'm assuming
He's
it
medium-sized,
is,
he's a man.
you pull the creature up to 10 feet closer to you.
Perfect.
I take it all back. Cantrips are amazing.
Your spell attack bonus is on your spellcasting sheet up at the top.
+4.
So it's a d20, you add the 4, and you're trying to beat his armor class.
Okay.
Yes!
A natural 20. So what damage
good
does
roll.
Thorn Whip do?
Pardon?
How much damage does Thorn
Oh,
Whip do?
it is
know how this
1d6
works. We're gonna
piercing
fight the real
damage.
monster.
So because it's a crit, you're going to roll
Botching everything.
2d6.
Oh, okay.
So this kind of, you watch as Sean the Dragonborn like raises up like a clawed fist. You raise up like a clawed fist, and like a part of like the foliage around the lake kind of rides up into your hand. You lash it out. you rip his jugular out with the thorns. Like, he falls into the trap, but the corpse falls into the trap. It's like,
I caught one!
it's just like the foot snaps, but the body just slumps onto the ground.
Welcome to the swamp.
As
Got so many catchphrases.
the other one that was caught in the trap just drops its club and just looks at you in horror.
Good.
As this enormous, terrifying nature wizard rips out his friend's throat.
Having finished loading my gun, I'll look down at him and just shout, I think it's time we have a chat!
That's the end of part 2. Part 3 will be on the internet at some point in the future. Thanks again for watching, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel if you like. Or if you've already done that, you can just have a cup of tea or something. Fantastic. Ah, the internet, eh? See you soon. Bye.